Hello YouTube, Bill Griffith back again. In my previous video, the IBM Generative AI with Business Automation Demo that I showed here, I discussed how I would build this, and so this video is to walk through some of the code on how this was done. So as you see here, this is the Business Automation Workflow Process Portal, and that's over here as well. And so I placed an order through watsonx Assistant, and then it comes in here to this step. I can also, of course, launch the process, pizza order process here. That's going to kick off a new instance for the order, and then that's going to use the built-in HTML form, web, mobile user interface of Business Automation Workflow, where this user interface was built. And that's what you see here. This is a little dialogue to ask what kind of custom pizza, where it calls off to IBM watsonx.ai to craft up a custom pizza. So let's go through the process of the chatbot interface and show you how that works. That is not always the most obvious. And so let me just sort of go through that. So I go into my watsonx Assistant. I'm actually using the SaaS version on the IBM Cloud. So that's what you see here. Let me close this and then I launch it. So this is on the IBM Cloud. I'm using the plus because I want to turn on the phone. So you can use the plus service. You can do this with the virtual assistant down here without the plus, but I'll show you how I enable the phone service. So this is my Pizza bot. You can just create a new one here and then go through this. So the first thing that I do is create an action called order pizza. So actions are the way for the AI to understand what you're wanting to accomplish and the steps to accomplish that action, that output that you want from the virtual assistant. So in this case, this virtual assistant only does three things. It can answer questions, it can price a pizza, and it can order a pizza. Okay, so let's do the order pizza, and you just click the new action. Now what I do is in the very first step here, I give it examples. So I'm teaching it or training it on the ways that customers can ask for pizzas, right? They say, I want a large pizza, small pizza, give me a pizza, family size, lots of different things. Now, watsonx Assistant will actually take some of this information. It's called slot filling, where it will pull out. If I say delivered, then down here when I ask about do you want it delivery, it already determined that because I said it in my first statement. So if I said I want a custom pizza or I want a medium pizza, then it won't ask me that question. As you see here in step 7, it's saying, well, what size pizza? Well, if I give it here, then it already knows that. So I don't have to re-ask the question that it parsed out and grabbed in the first statement. But at any rate, the more examples you provide here, the more accurate your virtual assistant is in detecting what customers want. So if I use unique language like customers say, I want a pie, and in this case, they're talking about a pizza. They're not talking about a dessert, right? So that's an example where I might want to say that. In fact, I do that as an example, right? So, okay, so that's the first step. Now, the first step I do is, let me back up here a second. One of the other things that you often want to do is greet the customer. So what does the assistant say as soon as a user starts using it? Well, mine says, welcome to watsonx Generative X Pizza Factory. I'm Pizza, here to help you order pizza. And if I preview this, you'll see that's exactly what it starts. And it says greet customer. That's what you're seeing here, greet customer. Okay, so that it has a vanilla one, so go to set by assistant, then jump in here to greet customers and adjust it. You can also in here set by assistant, you can do things like, well, how many times do you ask the customer to repeat something? And if the virtual assistant doesn't understand, then do a fallback method like contact a customer agent, pass off to a customer service tool. The watsonx assistant has some integrated service desk tools, and I could show that as well. But anyway, it does this. You could redirect to an agent, let me connect you, and this is called sort of a smooth handoff. Or you could search a knowledge base. If they're asking a question, you can use the retrieval augmented generation pattern, the RAG pattern, within watsonx Assistant. So you'll just search a repository. Okay, so now I go back over here to my order pizza. Again, I just click create new order, created it from scratch, and then I called it order pizza. The first step is to tell them what's on the menu. This is what we offer, and you see here I'm asking them for if they want a AI generated custom pizza. Then I create the response. So in this case, I'm only asking for these 4 choices, right? So I say they can order a custom, they can order veggie, meat lovers, spicy, and then I give some synonyms, which again further helps the AI understand. So if they say veg or vegetables or vegan, then I understand that, okay, they're really referring to veggie. Now I can use large language models to better understand this. So even if I don't have a synonym exactly, the more I give it, the more it starts to learn that pattern and then really understands what we're trying to do. So these are always a best practice to do that. So once it understands that, then it says, okay, if the first step here, and again, this is sort of the low code drop down. So I just choose, right? I can add a condition here and then say drop down, and then I say the previous step, which was this first step, and then it'll give me the choices that I predefined in step 1. Up here I said, these are the 4 choices, and so that's pre-populated here, and I just choose which one. So this step only occurs if this is a custom pizza for the previous step, right? So then I give them another statement, and that's what you see here. This is assistant says. So it replies back to the customer, okay, give me some ideas about this custom pizza. And then I make this response type, right, to be a free text, right? And I could change that here. Here's the various choices that you see there. So this is free text. I could make it a regular expression. I could make it a number, a date, time, yes, no, or options. So very easy to do that. And then I say once I get that information, then just go to the next step. You can also visualize this sort of graphically, and this is all sort of built dynamically for me, right? So I just say, these are the steps, and then I jump down, and it goes here. This is sort of graphically decided based off of these conditions within the action. Okay, so then it says this is your free text. So let me show you what that looks like. So through first step. So I start a preview. So it says the welcome, which is part of the greet customer. Now it's waiting to say, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to order pizza? Do you want to ask me a question? Do you want to price a pizza? So I say I want a large custom pizza. Now I said that all in one sentence. So it recognized the order pizza. That's this action here that we're looking at. And so it already knows custom. It didn't ask me, do you want custom veggie meat lovers? Because I said custom here. That's the slot filling. So I say, cool, I want a Indian pizza. And now I type that, and that's what this next step is. Now it's calling out to watsonx Assistant to conjure up, in other words, make up this custom pizza using IBM's Granite large language model to make up this pizza. Now, since the description of this pizza and the ingredients change, then it has to also call watsonx.ai, the Granite, I can't remember if it's the Granite model. I think the Granite model again, and then it counts the toppings. So we got chicken, we've got cashew cheese, we got mango chutney. And so from these, it then calculates the ingredient count. That's what you see here. I got the number of ingredients. Where is it here? In my variables. So it's a large pizza. This is what it called out to. And then it calculates the the topping count. So here it is. Topping count is 3. And so that was by calling it out and having the large language model parse through this for me. Okay, so with that, I then go in and say, okay, you wanted a custom pizza. Let's ask you what kind. That's where I go in and call out to the IBM Granite model with a project. So let me show you that. So when I first log into watsonx, then I just go over and create a new project. You can click the hamburger stack here, go to projects. Then I can create a new project. I already did that. This is called Pizza GenAI Demo. I often create a new asset like this and then say worked with a prompt lab. So this allows me to experiment with the pizza generation. So let me show you sort of how that works. So for example, if I ask the watsonx.ai, I just go in and say, here's my instruction. I want you to make up a unique pizza, custom pizza, and then I ask it to make up an Indian pizza, right? So here's what I ask it, and then I say Indian. And then I say generate. And you see up here, it's the IBM Granite model. So it created that. Now you see it's starting to add a little bit more than I want. So then I go to my parameters here and I say, stop at the first paragraph. So I hit enter, and then add that as the break token. And maybe I want, 300 tokens as the output. And so I say, that's good. Now, this is called zero-shot prompt. I haven't given it any examples. It's not really sure exactly what I want. So if I add a couple prompt examples here, I give it this as an example, and in this case I'm asking for a vegan pizza, and then I give it an example of what I mean by that. So I copy this from my notepad, and then it's saying, and then this is what I teach it is an example of what I want. Now when I say generate, now it's going to call it again, and now it created a different one, and you see it stopped at the first paragraph. And maybe I give it a couple more examples. And in fact, what you may find is that with 2 or 3 examples, you get better results than one of these really large models, right? So within watsonx, you'll see that we have the Llama 3.1, 405 billion parameter model. It's a great model. It can do a whole bunch of stuff. It's also expensive from a cost perspective. Let's see, IBM watsonx price and model pricing. So I go over here to my pricing. And so down here, you scroll down, see model pricing. And so here's the various models that IBM offers. And you see that the Granite model, that's the one I used first. It's only 60 cents per million tokens. If I go down to the Llama, the big one, it's $5 per million. Now that's great. I'm not saying it's a bad model. It's an awesome model. It's impressive. So is Mistral. So is GPT-4. However, they may be overkill for my use case, and with a couple examples, I might get the same results or even sometimes better at significantly less cost by using a smaller model. So what we want to do is go in here into the prompt lab and find sort of the smallest model that solves this use case. One model for every use case is unlikely to be successful. You're going to more likely want to use a different model for different use cases. So that's what I've done here. Now from this, you can go back over to your project. So then back over here at the Manage tab, you'll see that this is the project ID. And whenever I want to call watsonx, I want to specify this is the project to use to call, as well as an API key to invoke it. So that's what I have from watsonx.ai. So back over in my watsonx assistant, my chatbot, I need to integrate that watsonx.ai. So that's down here. What I'm doing is I'm going over here on the left, the pop-up happens. then I hit the integration tab, and then I can specify what kind of system I want to integrate with. You see I already have watsonx.ai available. I'm importing the OpenAI right here, the OpenAI JSON file. So just go click the watsonx.ai extension, download the OpenAI JSON file, and then import it, and then that will get added as mine has done here. That's watsonx.ai. So now if I go back to my action and I go in here, and then I say, right, ask them what kind of custom pizza they want, and then I say, okay, now I'm going to call out to that extension that I just walked through, and one of the methods or operations within that watsonx.ai service is called the generation operation, which means generate something from the large language model. So the expression I pass in is I pass in a prompt example. So I'm not doing zero prompt, I'm doing one shot prompt here to give it an example so that it gives me better results for what I'm wanting. And what I'm doing is I'm just adding some text, as I did with the prompt lab over here, where I was sort of doing it through the tool here. I'm copying the text that I pasted here into the prompt over here. And then I tell it which model I want, I tell it which project I want, I tell it my stop parameter. Remember, I did a new line, and then I specify the version, and so it calls that back. Then I take the output of that step, and then I call a different model, Google Flan in this case, with a different expression, which says to count the pizza toppings from whatever was created from the IBM Granite model. Then I go back and say, okay, if it's a custom pizza and the previous step was successful, then package up that description and display it to the user, which is what I'm showing here. So that's sort of the gist of how I'm doing that. I'm capturing the information, small, medium, large. I capture the description of the pizza, and then I package it up into an array. Let me show you that here, which is right. So then I create a new array here. You can call create a new variable, create a new session variable, which I did, and I just called this any type. Where is it? Any. Scroll down. Any type, and then I make that a JSON array. So here's the Business Automation Workflow line item variable, and then I create a JSON object like this, inputting the data from the previous steps above, and that's entered by just here in free form. You just hit the $, and then it pops up this wizard, and you just choose the variable you want. So let me see if that went away. Okay, that went away, good. So this is a single line item, right? Then I create an array of all the line items. So I take the previous value from the array, and then I append the new line item from what they just ordered. And then I loop back to the top if they say they want to add something else, right? Here, if they say they want to add something else, I ask them, are you done? Up here, do they want to check out, or do they want to add something else? These are the two choices. So if they say they want to add more, then I jump back up to the top of the wizard, right? So that's just re-ask, and I say go re-ask so they can get the second pizza or the second Coca-Cola or whatever that they want. So I add each of these items to the array, and then I ask them where they want it delivered. And then finally, I call out to Business Automation Workflow with that array of items and the various information that they ask for. So let me show that. So now I go back over here, starting from scratch. Well, maybe that's a little busy. Let me go here. Let me close this, and then I go to preview. And so now I say I want to order pizza. and I say I want a large custom pizza. What kind? Let's just say Tex. Well, you know what? Let's say barbecue. I'm in Austin, Texas. So a barbecue custom pizza. So now it's making up a barbecue custom pizza for me. It's counting the toppings because the price changes. So it crafted up this for me. In other words, it generated. That's why we often call these generative AI. Savory the smoky, bold flavors of unique custom barbecue pizza, featuring medley of succulent smoked meats, including hickory smoked mozzarella, savory pulled pork, and tangy never cooked brisket. Each bite is a symphony of taste and texture. So pretty cool. That looks pretty good. So sure, I want that. I say yes, I'll take it. And then how many? I want 3. And I don't want anything else. I'll check out. And my name is Bill Griffith. And my phone number is 512-098. I don't know, I'm just making this up, so hopefully this isn't somebody's number and they get phone calls. And so now it's placing the order into Business Automation Workflow. So I can also call this from a phone number. So if you go up here, I can go integrations, and then you see here there's a phone service. So I can click add. I've already done this, but then click open, and then I can go in here and say create me a free phone number. This is why I'm using the plus service. So it's going to give me a phone number. So there's me a phone number. So in a second, that phone will be connected. And when I call this number, it's going to interact as I was interacting with the chatbot. It's going to use the exact same text, the options, and read back to me what it created for me. But it's going to do it in a text to speech and speech to text. These are services that IBM has available. In this case, I'm using the SaaS editions that run on the IBM public cloud, but you can also run these on-prem if you want on OpenShift. And so it uses these services to translate what I speak to my phone from my speech and translate that into text. It passes that text on to watsonx virtual assistant based off of that chat interface that I built. And then it replies back with the text that it gets from that and translates it back, in this case, into Allison's voice.
Welcome, how can I assist you?
If I
Welcome, how can I assist you?
If I didn't want Allison's voice, I could choose Lisa's voice.
Welcome, how can I assist you?
So then I go back to this, and now, I don't know if that's ready, but let's just give it a try. So I'm going to call 203-212-5537. So there is the phone. So let's call it.
Welcome to the IBM watsonx Generative AI Pizza Factory. I'm Pixa, an AI bot here to help you order pizza. Just say order pizza to get started.
Order pizza.
We offer veggie supreme, spicy tamale, meat lovers, and an AI-generated custom pizza. Which one do you want?
AI generated?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Would you like a veggie supreme, a meat lovers, a spicy tamale, or a custom-generated pizza?
Custom generated pizza.
Give me a few ideas on this custom pizza you are seeking. You can say things like spicy or Mexican or Greek or Mediterranean, or 1 to 3 words for the pizza style you want.
Pineapple.
Conjuring up a pineapple custom pizza for you. Counting pizza toppings. Here's what I conjured up. Our unique Hawaiian-inspired pizza features a tantalizing blend of succulent pineapple, imported Canadian bacon, and creamy mozzarella cheese, all nestled on a crispy, golden brown crust. Each bite is a symphony of sweet and savory flavors, leaving you craving for more. Do you want this one or want me to conjure up something different?
That sounds delicious. So there you see it created a new pizza type for me. I just made up a pineapple pizza, which actually is from a Saturday Night Live skit from Chris, I can't remember his name. Okay, so I save that, and then I go back to my action. And like I said, that's what it was saying here. It just effectively walked through this order pizza and asked me for what I wanted. Now, if I would have finished the dialogue, it would have asked these questions, and then it would have placed the order over here in the process portal. Now, where is that new one? This is the one I just ordered through the chat virtual assistant. So you see, this was that barbecue one that I placed here. And again, the way that so one other thing I missed here is to get it to integrate with BAW, I need to go into my BAW instance. So I go back over here to Business Automation Workflow. In this case, I'm running it on IBM ROKS, Red Hat OpenShift Kubernetes service. It's on the IBM public cloud. So I install OpenShift there, and then I install Cloud Pak for Business Automation on top of that. And then with that, I can go to my business automations. You can have multiple process templates, process types. You can also do decisions, which is where I do the pricing. So I go to my workflow, and I have this store ordering system, the workflow process, that once the order is taken, so I allow people to order through the user interface, right? That's what I was showing here, where you click the button to say, launch a pizza. That's this first step. This is take customer order. And then if they call in from the phone or through the virtual assistant, then it checks. I just click this diamond. This is a gateway, this exclusive gateway. I choose the wizard here to say, how do I decide if this is an online order or a portal user? Then I check if there's an existing order line item object here that has a value. I just messed that up. Let me go back. The order details length. So in other words, if there is such a value and it's greater than 0, then I know that there is an existing order that's coming in. So don't go up here and ask the customer for the order, but instead pass it off to the cook to start preparing the order. That's what you see here. This is the order that's been passed into the cook. So I go here and you see this is order 112, and it bypassed this take customer order because I did it through the virtual assistant and it passed it up to here. So if I go over back to here and I close the diagram, and the cook makes the pizza. So they say, cool, I prepared it. It took me 7 minutes, and then I say order up. And now you'll see this changes from prepare to delivery. So now it's passed on to the next step, right? I can click here and see the details of that, when it happened, when it's due, and then I can see the diagram here as well, and you'll see that it moved from this step down to the delivery driver. Now, if I go into the delivery driver, you'll see the user interface is slightly different because the users for delivery, they need to know your address, whereas the cook maybe doesn't need that. So that's why I have a different interface there. The way that is done is I go into my user interface here. I have a coach, and I just drag those objects. This is the data from the system. You click here, variables, and define these custom types, nest it as deeply as you want. And I just drag these objects onto this canvas. And then if I want to change the wizard user interface, like this is a table, right? I see, well, this is a panel. I go into this one here. This is a table, and I can choose a variety of different HTML5 style sheet based mobile friendly widgets that can display and capture information from the users with that data. And then I put my button there. This is what I was talking about. This right now is in the web form, but if I want to check it out in my mobile form and I want to adjust that user interface, if they're mobile users, maybe I want to vertically stack things instead of horizontal like this table in a mobile interface, probably I wouldn't do this in a column. So I would go change this for this form factor, and the wizard down here will allow me to do that. So that's what we have here. For the table, I also make it read-only. So I set the permissions here. I can do it at the parent level, or I can do it at the individual fields. In this case, I set read-only for that. This can also be determined dynamically based off of a rule or some script, and that will adjust the visibility of that interface. So the one last thing that I didn't mention is once I build this process, so in my earlier video way back when, 7 years ago, when I created this BPM process by just dragging these icons onto the canvas, specifying that this is a user task, and then specifying to create a new implementation, all of that stuff that I did 7 years ago, same process, that's this diagram. Now I need to expose this process to watsonx assistant to call it. So the way that I do that is I go over here and I say create a new REST service. So I can call this REST, and I call this foobar. I say finish, and then it gives me an OpenAI URL that I can click, and this allows me to download my OpenAI, which then I can import into watsonx. So then I specify, okay, well, what is the operation? It's going to select that process, and then the operation is going to be place order. So now it can call that process. Now this, okay. So then I would save that and import it, and it knows what to call. And if I go back over here to my watsonx assistant, that's exactly what I'm doing here, right? That's that extension here, BAW place order, and that's the operations calling, which is the same as this operation. And I just imported this here. Again, the way that that was done is go over here, integrations, do add a custom extension, and then do next, and then do foobar, and then do next, and now it wants this file. So I click this file, I save, if I don't touch it, save as foo.json, and then I can grab that and drop it in, and then it will call out there for me. So, and then when a new order comes in through that, it will kick off this actual process. Let me see if I can back this up and delete this demo. Okay. So there you have it. Hopefully this has been helpful in further understanding some of the code behind the demo and how this works. So I encourage you to try watsonx Assistant. There's free trials. watsonx.ai, IBM watsonx.ai is also free to try. There's also a free tier, free trial. So I'll go there. And then, of course, the watsonx Assistant is the chatbot interface, watsonx Assistant trial. So there's also trials there. So lots of ways to check this out, and hopefully these videos prove useful to you. Thanks for watching.